games as interactive media are these extraordinary spaces where we can test out ideas, where we can sort of explore cause and effect and emergent behavior. There's no reason that we shouldn't also be using games as ways to explore our environments. I'm Ian Costello, and my project is called Propagate. In the simplest terms, I'm basically making an open source plugin for generating plant growth and modeling forest dynamics in game engines for games, but also all other sorts of interactive media. On the sort of more practical side of how I see this plugin, there's an increasing sort of use of game engines for all sorts of things outside of games. And one area of interest is in climate science. There's a way of taking all the complex information that's coming out of climate research, and sometimes that's really dense numerical models that only a few people with a PhD in something specialized understand. And visualization at its best can democratize information a little bit. So if we're talking about something like wildfire risk, if you want to bring more people into the conversation and give them a seat at the table, or if you're thinking about habitat restoration and you want more people to be able to weigh in on what a solution could look like, they need to be able to see what that looks like. And visualization is one way to do that. So rather than a single game or a single demonstration, it's a tool set and ultimately sort of a set of ideas that can build outwards and interface with the types of projects that other folks are already working on across games and climate research, and hopefully serve to sort of bring those two together a little more. For a long time, I viewed my interest in games and my background in fine arts as these sort of separate tracks, and they informed each other a little bit like everything does. But I always kind of kept them a little bit separate from each other. And at some point, I realized that it was time to just sort of merge those. I was mostly making small dioramas and sculptures. And I started more and more realizing that I could still build dioramas, and they might not need to be a physical component. And so I started shifting towards building dioramas digitally, which was kind of the lead-in to this project. And once I sort of made that shift into games, it felt logical to me maybe to work on building tools for games rather than games themselves, just to sort of further increase the potential reach. This is sort of a visual demonstration of it, sped up massively and sort of cut down into a little diorama like we're talking about. Sort of the base of what's happening is I've built a simplified model of how plants grow. And my work is really translating that into something that could work in a game engine. At the core, basically this is a set of rules that helps sort of explain and describe how plants can grow, and then it lets Unreal Engine do the rendering. If the ecological models of how plants are growing are trying to answer a specific question, what will the timber yield be after 10 years, or how is this fungus going to spread? The questions I'm more interested in are which processes do we have to capture to have an impact on player behaviors? The most exciting part in a lot of ways is the unknown, the sort of area where by building these tools, it sort of allows for a type of media that I can't quite describe yet, because tools help determine the types of games that we have. And so changing those tools broadens the possibility space for all sorts of games.